In this presentation, we will look at communication and autism. Communication is defined as the transmission and reception of information. Communication is one of the primary areas where children and people with autism have difficulties. As we have seen in a previous presentation, impairment in social communication is part of the dyad of impairments. But all people with autism will experience difficulties in the area of social communication and social interaction. As human beings, we communicate with each other in two ways: verbal communication and nonverbal communication. Verbally with speech, nonverbally with body language, gestures, and facial expressions. Many children and people with autism face challenges in all of these areas and therefore find it difficult to communicate. Some people with autism are nonverbal and do not speak. The vast majority of people with autism can communicate their wants and needs. However, some children may need help with communication. To assist them, they use communication systems like PECS, Picture Exchange Communication System, LAV, a sign language system. A lot of people with autism are highly visual when communicating and learning. Autism is often described by people with the condition as thinking in pictures. The Picture Exchange Communication System, PECS, is a functional communication system that develops important communication and social skills. Through the PECS system, the I want and I feel areas of communication can be managed by the child or person with autism. The PECS system can also be used to explain what's coming next. Here are some examples. Here is an example of a picture communication board. Here is an example of I want. The child using the I want board inserts the picture card of the item they want into the I want panel and hands it to their parent or teacher. The I want board can have multiple uses. It can also be used with foods, for example. Visual schedules help people with autism to identify and manage their daily activities. This also helps with anxiety and stress caused by uncertainty and lack of routine that people with autism rely on. Here's an example of a school day schedule. Most communication systems are now available through a range of apps which speed up the communication process. The vast majority of people with autism are very comfortable with technology such as iPads and tablets. Another communication system that can be used by a child or person who is nonverbal or who has limited verbal communication is LAV. LAV is a manual sign system used by children and adults with intellectual disability and communication needs in Ireland. LAV signs are used to support communication. Some people with autism who can communicate verbally will constantly repeat the same word or phrase, or may repeat words or sentences that have just been spoken to them. This is called echolalia. They may also use words and sentences from an earlier interaction. These words and phrases can be out of context. This is simply repetition. Some children may use the same phrases each time they communicate and may be limited to that range of phrases. People with autism also have difficulties in the area of social communication. Social communication is a person's ability to interact with others on a social level. For example, people with autism may have difficulties in sharing a conversation, showing an interest in another person's feelings, developing friendships and relationships, understanding nonverbal communication such as facial expressions and body language. Many people with autism want to communicate but find the process difficult and stressful. People with autism can face challenges from social anxiety. They may want to communicate and converse with other people but can find social situations stressful. Here are some of the challenges faced by people with autism in the area of social communication. They have a very literal understanding of language. They may not understand sarcasm or humor. They may not be able to read facial expressions. They may not be able to read and interpret body language. They may have difficulties making eye contact. They may have issues with sensory factors such as noise, smells, or light. This can impinge on their ability to stay connected to a conversation. People with autism can find social situations very stressful and can become very anxious as a result. With social communication, children and people with autism face challenges in the following areas: participating in reciprocal conversations, picking up social cues from others, identifying other person's personal space, inappropriate comments, dismissive or disinterested in others' points of view, social anxiety, low levels of self-confidence and self-esteem. Children with autism and Asperger syndrome do not intuitively develop social skills as they grow up. This can make social interactions difficult and stressful. As you can see, people with autism have to overcome a lot of hurdles to stay connected and focused on a conversation. Many people with autism and Asperger syndrome want to communicate and form friendships and relationships with other people. They can learn communication skills and how to communicate effectively and appropriately with others. People and children with autism can attend communication groups or social groups where they practice these skills and learn to manage their issues and anxieties in social situations. It's normally up to others to give them that opportunity.